Hello everyone, your favorite night owl here with his Savage 11 Scout to talk about Know Yourself, a part of the Riflery 101 series. Before we get started, like, share, and subscribe. Check out the link below to my Subscribestar account. Help a small creator out. Let's do a quick safety check. Nothing in the chamber, bolts clearly removed, and a magazine is clearly not inserted. Fantastic! Now we need to move on. Alrighty then. Knowing yourself has multiple facets to it, including one's own capabilities and what capabilities would you like to aspire for. Your capabilities include your endurance and general ability with the rifle of your selection. Here's my Savage 11 Scout, and I do feel quite confident with this rifle, although you may not. Another rifle might better suit you based upon your needs. As both a defensive rifle for four-legged problems and as a hunting rifle, I am very confident with this rifle. Righty then. However, in defense against two-legged problems, my confidence starts dropping. And, depending on the competition, I generally would not use this as a competition rifle unless it was specifically for scout rifles, such as this Savage 11 Scout. Fantastic! My lovely feline assistant is over there guarding the bolt for me. Now, as indicated by the bolt, this is a bolt-action rifle, quite well suited to the role of defense against four-legged problems and for hunting. Part of knowing yourself is knowing what exactly you intend to use your rifle for. Is it hunting? Is it defense? And if it's defense, is it against two-legged or four-legged problems? And then there's competition, and then you have to take into account the competition in question and what they would allow and what would be optimal for that competition. It also takes into account the features of the rifle and how they may detract from what your actual need is, which would tie back in to know your rifle, which is very important. There's also a matter of consideration in the fact of, do you feel comfortable using this rifle in this desired goal? I'd ask myself, and the answer is yes. Defense against four-legged problems, and on top of that, as a potential hunting rifle, although the Mosin Nagant is probably more up my alley there. Alrighty then. As for running this rifle, let me move this a little over here. Fantastic. As for running this rifle, part of it's endurance. Endurance on when it comes to knowing yourself, on how often can you run this rifle, and for how long. There's also, when knowing yourself, do you know and are proficient in matters of safety related to your rifle, and proficiency through drills. The drills, some of the most basic you can do, even with dry fire or with duds. Alrighty then. Which you can purchase online, is a 10-yard failure drill, as it involves a rapid manipulation of the bolt, which is quite good at revealing any particular problem with that particular bolt gun when it's being run hard and fast. There's also the fact that you have to take into consideration the ranges, and do you have the opportunity to train to become proficient at those ranges. Knowing yourself also knows knowing what you can and cannot do with your rifle. Is this a rifle that's particularly proficient in, say, running off to join a militia? Well, I have an own video on that coming on up. When it comes to hunting, this would be an excellent, compact, and lightweight choice. Reasonably lightweight. Then, you have to take into account defense against four-legged animals. Do I feel comfortable carrying this around whenever I'm concerned about problems of a four-legged variety? With this particular rifle, the answer would be yes. Fantastic. Moving on. With this particular feature, which does tie back into Know Your Rifle, knowing at what ranges is that scope particularly proficient. This particular scope is proficient at shorter to around mid-range. What's considered short and mid-range can vary from person to person. For me, this would be a scope adequate for 400 to 600 yards. And if I absolutely had to, I could move it out probably to 8. Can't imagine why I would need to do that within reason, so thus why I have not drilled for that. However, drilling for 400 yards and less, particularly between the 200 and 400 yard range, and on top of that, particularly 200 yards and less for defensive training, that is quite up this rifle's and my own alley. Your endurance is very important, especially when it comes to these drills, because if you have particularly low endurance in a situation where you need to run this rifle hard and quickly, you may run out of steam far quicker than you need to get out of that situation. Also, you may end up having to carry around this rifle for an excessive amount of time. You plan for a 3-day trip and you get stuck out there for 2 weeks. That might end up happening for some folks depending on circumstance. Although there aren't too many circumstances where that might occur. However, it might. Also, on top of that, in the fields of using this as a defensive rifle, you have to take into account a muzzle brake can alter the equation, as can other muzzle devices. Also, there's the fact that if you have an adjustable cheek piece, is that adjusted to allow you to use the scope or irons, or like I do, I keep it right in the middle. Because being comfortable with your rifle is very important, part of knowing yourself. Know what kind of rifle you are most comfortable with. Lightweight, or in some circumstances you may need a heavier rifle. Or, like many, you can try to go as light as possible for your desired role, which the lighter your rifle that you're able to get for your role is more weight you can carry in other supplies. A pound less on your rifle could be a pound more of water or food, or some other thing you might need. Fantastic! Another factor to take into account when knowing yourself is knowing if, in the situation you need it, and you feel comfortable with it, are your skills proficient enough to use this rifle? Which is a very good question to ask. Your skills with this rifle can be, or in the case, your rifle, is very important to your success in using a rifle for your desired goal if that particular circumstance you desire it for ever happens upon itself. You could be facing, the deer of a lifetime, and for whatever reason, things just might not go very well. You could have short-stroked your bolt, may not have brought it up fast enough, or in the case I've seen some people who get these little add-on bits for the end of your optic for covering. Sometimes you sort of like people who forget their camera lenses on, sometimes you forget to flip that up. So for some people it might be better just to simply not have one of those. Also, on top of that, there are other matters at hand. For example, when it comes to endurance, how long can I fire this rifle if I'm in a preset position? Within reason. A muzzle brake and one of those recoil pads do come in handy with that, but the lighter your rifle and the heavier the cartridge, recoiling of the cartridge, from the greater amount of energy being used to project the projectile downrange. Alrighty then, having trouble speaking tonight. Cool beans, cool beans. The projectile downrange, the greater the recoil. Back on topic. Alright. Well, that's pretty much all for now for just this little bit quick tidbit, although there is some channel news. there will be a movie version of Riflery 101, which should be a little bit, will go in better detail and will be scripted, making things a little bit better. Alrighty then, thank you for your time. Like, share, and subscribe. Check out the link below to my Subscribe Star account. Just $2 monthly donation. Help a small creator out. See you around!